and welcome back to Anne's Family Recipe. Today I'm making two awesome recipes for summer entertaining, a Dorito dip and Mississippi mud brownies. My first recipe today is called Dorito dip, and it is just that. It is a chip dip specifically meant to be eaten with a bag of traditional nacho cheese Doritos, and it is so good. I found this on Instagram on my friend April's profile. She goes by The Tipsy Housewife. She has an incredible blog with tons of recipes, and I will link that for you in my description box below. So I'm going to show you how I make this very easy and flavorful Dorito dip. This recipe calls for 10 slices of bacon, and I'm just making a whole package because we're going to eat the rest for breakfast today. But I prefer to make my bacon in the oven. So my oven's set, well, my oven doesn't get quite as hot as I'd like it to, so I have it at 415 degrees, but typically you would do 400 degrees for anywhere from about 12 to 15 minutes. You can always remove pieces that are finished, and you might have to finish off some of the other ones. So you just want to line a rimmed baking tray with foil because there will be a lot of grease. It is just the absolute best way to cook your bacon. Once you try it, I promise you won't go back. My bacon's almost done. I just rotated my pan around so it would cook evenly on all sides. When I get that out, I'll put it onto a plate that I've lined with paper towels just to absorb some of the excess grease. For the base of my dip, I'm starting with 8 ounces or 1 brick of cream cheese that is very soft. That way it's easy to mix it all together. And to that, I'm adding 8 ounces of sour cream. Next, the recipe calls for 1 packet of ranch seasoning, and I have one of those big tubs of ranch seasoning, so I just added in 3 tablespoons of that. I also added in about a tablespoon of garlic powder and 1 teaspoon of chili powder. Next is a 4-ounce can of chopped green chilies, and I did all my shopping at Aldi, and they don't sell chilies by themselves at my store. So I just bought a can of the diced tomatoes and green chilies, and I drained it very, very well and even patted it dry just so that there weren't any extra juices to make my dip watery. That was April's suggestion because she typically just uses the green chilies. So I added in about half a can of those. Lastly, I used my kitchen scissors to cut up those 10 pieces of bacon that I had cooked and cooled earlier. And then I grabbed my hand mixer and mixed this all together. I was taking this to a family party, so I put it right into a Tupperware container, and as a garnish, I chopped up a couple of green onions over top. I highly recommend this recipe. It is so unique. I've never tried anything like it before, and it really does pair perfectly with those classic Dorito chips. All right, we're gonna try this out. We refrigerated it for a couple hours and then let it sit out because the cream cheese got kind of firm, so you want it to be dippable or else the chips will just break, but I tried some at home. It's really good. Oh yeah. I tried it at home on a spoon. It's very good on a spoon, but it's even better on a Dorito. Next up is Mississippi mud brownies, and my sister introduced this recipe to me years ago. I rarely make it because, as you will see, there is a lot of butter and sugar in this, but that's what makes it so good. I tend to only make these when I'm going to be entertaining so that I can give a lot of them away because they are so rich and decadent. You just want to cut them into little squares and that will be enough. Now, what I love about this recipe is that it reminds me a lot of Texas sheet cake, and that's one of my favorite desserts of all time. I actually made a video for that many years ago when I first started my channel. I'll link that for you in my description box because it is so delicious. But you know what else is delicious? These Mississippi mud brownies. So here we go. This recipe has a batter and a glaze, and they're both made in a medium saucepan on the stovetop. So for the batter, I'm starting with 2 sticks of unsalted butter, and I'm gonna melt those down. And then after that, I turned off the heat and whisked in 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. And I love using this Hershey's Special Dark Cocoa Powder. It is just ultra rich and makes everything extremely chocolatey. To this, I added in 2 cups of white sugar and whisked that together. I needed to kind of break up some of the lumps in my sugar. And then I added in 4 eggs. And again, I think I mentioned already, the heat should be off at this point so you're not scrambling your eggs as you whisk them in. So I whisked those in along with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, plus a pinch of salt. At this point, I switched over to a rubber spatula so I could incorporate everything together. Lastly, I added in 1/2 cup of chopped pecans, which would be totally optional if you don't want any nuts, and 1 bag of mini marshmallows. I greased my 9 by 13 inch glass baking dish and then spread the batter evenly inside the pan. These bake at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then you want to let these cool. While the brownies cool, it's time to make the glaze. So in my medium saucepan, I'm melting another stick of unsalted butter, and to that I added in 1/3 cup of the dark chocolate cocoa powder and whisked this together. Then I turned off the heat. I flavored this with a teaspoon of vanilla extract and slowly incorporated 4 cups of powdered sugar, 1 or 2 at a time, just so that I didn't have a huge powdered sugar mess on my hands. You can see as I started whisking, it was a little bit dry. The final ingredient is 1/3 cup of milk, but I wasn't sure if I would use all of it, so I started slowly, just adding a couple tablespoons at a time and whisking it in until I got the perfect consistency for my chocolatey glaze. So these are the final 2 cups of the powdered sugar, a little more of the milk. I'll continue whisking, and in the end, I did end up using all the milk, and you can see it's this beautiful consistency. Then I poured the glaze over the cooled brownies and carefully spread it out to cover the surface. Once the glaze has set up, you can slice these and enjoy. You might need a little help from a knife around the edges because the marshmallows can tend to stick to the sides of the pan a little bit, but they aren't too difficult to get out, and these are ultra decadent and chocolatey. I hope you give them a try because they are absolutely amazing. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can follow me over on Instagram at Anne's Family Recipe, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked my summer entertaining recipes here today. Thank you so much for joining me here in my kitchen, and I'll see you again soon.